Hi guys! This is my thrifty witching or witching on a budget video. I know a lot of witches do these videos, but I don't know, I kind of walk around in this constant state of mindfulness when it comes to witchy stuff. When I'm out anywhere, one of the first things I think of when I look at something, whether it's in a store or walking a trail, whatever, is how can I use this in my practice? If there's an answer to that question and I'm able to acquire that item, I will. Having said that, there's a lot of opportunity to find some inexpensive items to use in or alongside our practice. So I kind of wanted to just show you the kind of things I have come across and where I've come across them to maybe open your minds up a little bit. Although I'm sure most of you are probably already thrifty witches. But this is my contribution to the movement. So I want to start with the cheapest of all, which is found objects. Okay, so my citrus. There's grapefruit, oranges, lemons, limes that I have a dehydrator, but you can put them in the oven and that are dried out that I use in my magic. Pumpkin. I'm all about pumpkins, Samhain, Halloween, what have you. I decorate the porch with several varieties, different colors and shapes, and when I'm done with them, dry them out and the seeds and use them in my magic. This is applewood. Well, that's not really easy for you to see, is it? This is my applewood. We actually have an apple tree, and occasionally some of the limbs grow funky, so we have to cut them or else it won't produce fruit. So I have applewood. But again, it's just if you have something in your yard, everything has a magical property. Even if you can't find some established property to it, if you work with it, you'll get a sense. And depending on the energies of your yard, I mean, if it was a plant that was given to you by a loved one or something, I mean, there could be any kind of connotations attached to that particular plant. This is my cedar, found in the nature trail I walk. We have cedar trees, and when there's bark peeling away or laying on the ground, I collect it. This is my flower medley. All kinds of flowers up in here that are just little, for the most part, I don't know what they are, flowers from my yard, but I use this in offerings or for love magic or what have you. These are cotton blossoms. I have taken out the raw cotton and have that separate, but these are the blossoms that the cotton actually grows out of. I live in an area where we farm cotton, and when they're done harvesting it, sometimes there's leftovers laying around. This is birch paper. And what I mean by that is there are trees called paper birch, and they are named that because their bark peels away like paper. I love this. I want one in my yard, but I don't know if I have room. I have lots of little trees coming up, growing, that we planted already. But I have a ton of it because when my husband finds it out while he's working, he brings it home to me. And yeah, we write petitions and stuff on them. Rocks. It's so easy to find pretty stones. This one I want to paint on, actually. You got sticks and bones and rocks and just all kinds of stuff. This is a found object, this little turtle shell. I live near the beach, so shells. Always have lots of shells on hand, found free objects. Prosperity, y'all. These are what are referred to as moon shells. And all shells have properties. I'm going to do a video at some point on shell magic. But yeah, shells. This is a whelk egg casing. Whelk shells come from this. Found at the beach. All these little baby shells in here. This is crab parts. Little pieces of ground up crab. These are little shark teeth. And then, you know, more crab parts and broken sand dollars and just all kinds of good stuff for making witchy sea magic. This stick is one of my wands. It's a found object. I kept it exactly as it was. It is a little bit of a driftwood kind of deal. I have this big staff back here you can see. It's my next staff I'll be making. It is something that we found on the nature trail, just laying around waiting to return to the earth, and I decided I'd make some magic with it first. And then we have feathers. You can always find feathers, blue jay feathers, pheasant feathers, seagull feathers, turkey feathers, vulture feathers, all kinds of, just all kinds of mockingbirds, all kinds of feathers. And you know, even if you can't do a specific spell with each and every of these items, they can certainly be correspondences for the elements or what have you. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to use these objects in your magic. Of course, another great way to get free objects is as gifts. And I've got a ton of gifts that were given to me, but I'm not counting those in this kind of thing. That's usually, you have to wait for a special occasion and they're still expensive. Your husband or your mom or whoever's buying them for you is still paying, you know, good money for them. My next item I'll be talking about is the second cheapest. And I say that because they don't cost anything to us, but there is a price of pain, I guess. These are what I call hand-me-downs. They're heirlooms. My mother died and passed me lots of things, but two things in particular I use in my practice. First is this little green vase. I use this as an offering dish. It sits on my shamanic ancestor altar and I have water in it, clean water in it all the time. This was a little sugar dish. Isn't this the cutest thing? It's a little glass cauldron. And I don't use it overly much. It's mostly kind of decorative, but it is to me a cauldron and I would use it as a working cauldron to mix herbs and things like that for my spellcrafting in. Next in line is dollar store finds. And of course it's going to depend on which dollar store you're talking about. If you're going to Dollar Tree, everything's $1. But some other dollar stores say they're dollar stores and the stuff is cheap, but it's not, everything isn't $1. So here in the South we have Dollar Tree and Dollar General, at least where I live. And I prefer Dollar Tree for many, many reasons, but you can always get a nice cinnamon broom at the Dollar General. And Dollar General is also a great place to get Epsom salt, but you can also get it at Dollar Tree if you want to make ritual bath salts. I use other salts besides just Epsom salts in my salts, but that's a personal preference. Candles, hello, Dollar Tree, dollar candles. They may not be the greatest quality candles ever, but they work. You can get the 7-day candles there. I love these. They are so easy to load. They cost $1. Like, me and my friends will get together and I've spent $1 for 4 candles, you know, $2 for 8, whatever. And we sit around and we load candles and play and whatever. Things like this you can get at dollar stores. And you might be thinking, what would you do with this? I mean, you could get a cork that would fit fairly cheaply and put oils in it or whatever. But honestly, if you get a little wax buildup in the top here, they make perfect candle holders. You can see I've used this one for that many times. This chalice is something, if you can see that 7-pointed star, that's the alchemy star, or the star of the 7 sisters, the Pleiades. And I got this for my husband because he's the alchemist. So $1 for a chalice for his altar. I love these trays. I use them all the time in my crafting. I use them to dry out my herbs that I grow. I use them when loading candles, things like that during spellcraft. This bowl has my Rose of Jericho in it, but this was $1. We got 2, one for him and one for me. I like to get my fire at the dollar store. Here are matches, these little torch lights, $1. Twine. I use twine a lot in my crafting and with my products. And there's all kinds of twine you can get either in the automotive section or in the crafting section in Dollar Tree. What witch doesn't love a notebook? Tons of cheap little notebooks that you can get at dollar stores. This from Dollar General, these from Dollar Tree. I got this jar, and I have a million different kinds of jars that I've gotten at the Dollar Tree, including these, this kind of jar, this kind of jar, this kind of jar. They have different ones all the time, so you just kind of have to check around and get them when you can. But not only did I get this container at Dollar Tree, I got most of what's in it. At Christmas time, you can get big packages of cinnamon sticks for $1 at Dollar Tree. Then we have thrift store finds. This is going to be my biggest category. We find really good things at the thrift store, or at thrift stores. So containers, things that I keep things in. I got this at the thrift store. I keep incense in it. It was 25 cents. I haven't taken the tag off yet. I got this at the thrift store. I've probably taken the tag off this one. And you know, most of the stuff is the most I've paid for anything at the thrift store, at our local thrift store, that I got most of this stuff from is like $5. But this was probably, you know, less than $1. And I keep my birthday candles and stuff in there. It was supposed to be for recipes, obviously. This little pot, I haven't really done anything with it yet. Might keep some herbs or something in it, but I love it. Again, it was under $1. Most of the stuff is going to be under $1. I got this little pot, and I actually keep chalk dust in it. Magical chalk dust. Got this little wooden spoon. You never have too many spoons. Another tin my husband picked up for me at the thrift store. And more incense. I love it. It's beautiful. There's this container, and I showed you what was inside of it earlier. It's all my little seashells and crab parts and stuff. But it had a shell on the top. I thought it was perfect for keeping all that in. Okay, kind of working containers. I've got this bowl. It's a metal bowl for mixing, doing things. I just like the way it looked, but drying out herbs, I can do all kinds of stuff with it. I've got this big silver pot. Again, I have kept wisteria in here. There's all kinds of stuff you can do with all these little cheap containers you can pick up at the thrift store. And they're pretty a lot of times. This little metal pot, it's kind of like Art Deco. It's cool. This I've used as a candle holder, but I've also used it to hold offerings and herbs. It's a little brass kind of cauldron. There's this little guy I just got. They had two of them. I got one for me and one for my husband. Again, I think it's probably an offering dish. Haven't used it as such yet. And I love this one. What does that look like to you? To me, that's essentially triple goddess, right? So it sits, and this little pot sits inside of it. I think it used to hang on it, but I don't care. Again, a nice offering dish or whatever. Working tools. I've got these tongs that I got at the thrift store. Old-timey brass tongs. They're really pretty. I have this brass cauldron that I got at the thrift store, and I use it as my working cauldron. You can still see part of the price tag there. Mixing herbs and stuff for spellcraft. I do not burn in that one. I got this. Of course, these are cooking measuring spoons, but I use them in my magic. They are my witchy spoons that I use to craft everything. Not necessarily for measuring, just for stirring and getting out herbs and what have you, but I don't really measure. Usually. I mean, I do for certain things, but spellcraft I don't. Look at this. This is the brass mortar and pestle that I found at a local Salvation Army for my husband. The alchemist should have a metal mortar and pestle, and plus it doubles as a bell. I mean, it's kind of annoying, but depending on where you hit it, it has a different tone too. It's cool. I love the pestle too. You could hurt somebody with this. I found this oil can at our local thrift store, and I keep my spray in it, my cleansing spray in here, and spray it when I need to. And it's a very fine mist. I love it. This was junk somebody threw away, and actually it had all these cuts in it, but I just took some beeswax and sealed it up, and it works perfect. I like to think outside the box. There's this little pot. We could clean it up, but me and my husband kind of like patina. We like old things. This one's my husband's. He's got stuff in there. This little copper pot, I use this when I make candles. I transferred the wax from my crock pot, which I call my candle cauldron, into here to bring it down to temperature so I can work with. And it has this handy little spout, and then I can pour it and work with it. That was a thrift store find. This ladle I also use when making candles, another thrift store find. And this plate had nothing to do with it. I think it's an ashtray, but I use it to hold this because, as you can see, wax gets everywhere when I'm making my candles. Little boxes like this. And I have all kinds of other ones I find, and I use them for, like, this has my magic inks in it. My magical inks that I have my little quill pen, and I can write petitions with when I'm in the mood to do so. Candle holders. Here's one we got at the thrift store. I love when they have the little handle on them. This. I love to burn loaded candles on this. It cost me like 25 cents, but you could kill somebody with this thing. A loaded candle is not going to crack this. Because loaded candles, you know, they just keep burning even after there's pretty much nothing left because there'll still be some herb residue, so like it's really hot. I found this at a thrift store. Brother Eagle is my totem, so this goes on my shamanic ancestor altar. This pretty little thing, it's got little flowers in it. It's from the thrift store. And then we have these again with the little handles on them. I love this kind of thing, but honestly, we don't really use these for candles. We use them to hold crystal orbs. Again, trying to think outside the box. I have these, which are mainly for show, but they are functional. You can put votives or tea lights in them, but I just have them hanging up in the living room, my little owl candle holders. Candle snuffer. This is a really cheapy, flimsy kind of aluminum-y one, but this one is brass and it's beautiful. And we got them both at the thrift store. Containers. So many containers. Here's a container. It's kind of funky. I don't use it for herbs or anything. Actually, this container I call my bell jar, and I haven't had to use it. I only had to use it one time since we moved into our house. But like if I do a binding of disharmonious energies, entities, that kind of thing, and I can't take it out and get rid of it immediately, I will take whatever's left of the binding, because I do it with candles, with loaded candles. I'll take whatever's left and put it inside here, seal it, set a huge block of hematite on top of it to hold it in until I can take it and get rid of it. So it's my bell jar. It contains the ick. This container at the thrift store, and I've got my magnetic sand in here. This container at the thrift store, it's kind of, I don't know, I do like ivy. I'm not overly into this kind of thing, but it's really functional. I keep my salt in here, and I like that it has a really wide mouth, so it's easy for me to get at the salt. Sometimes you just want to grab a handful and go around and sprinkle something. I got this old perfume container that I'm probably going to make an oil in at the thrift store. I got this at the thrift store. Isn't that beautiful? Again, it'll probably be for an oil. Oh, I love it. I got this little guy at the thrift store. It did not have a cork, but it's easy to get cork. And so I got a little cork and put it in. Actually, I had the cork, but whatever. I got this container at the thrift store. It's got my mugwort in it. I got this one at the thrift store. It's got my graveyard dirt in it. Oh, graveyard dirt being another free item if you have the capacity to go get it. I got these. I thought they were so cute. It says vitamins, swabs, and aspirin. They're 3 different sizes. They go down, and I'm going to put herbs in them eventually. I just haven't decided which ones I want to move into them. And this is kind of weird. These are like placemats, but they were 25 cents each. They have 2 different sides. I like to use them as a background in my videos when I'm like teaching about herbs or stones and I'm showing them and I've got the camera pointed at them. But I can also use them on my altar. If I'm going to do a small altar, or I can layer them, or it can be a focal point on the altar. So mini altar cloths. If I wanted to have a travel altar. In the craft section at our local thrift store, I got this. It's ceremony sand. I got a white one and a black one for $1. You can always use some cool white or black sand in your magic. And I got these little candles. These little hand-dipped pink candles for 25 cents at my local thrift store. Another one that's completely free by the time it comes to a witchy purpose anyway, is repurposing. Had a tin of chai tea. It now holds my hibiscus. Had a tin of old-fashioned candy sticks, and now it holds rose hips. This is my chamomile. I haven't done anything with this. Can you tell we like these? My son loves these things. And I think we got this at the dollar store. So at Dollar Tree. So we paid $1 for it, and then I'm going to repurpose it. These had fruit in them. I use them as spell jars. If I need a jar for a spell, I've got these little jars left. Next is holiday sales. I love to wait for the Halloween sales. I got these candle holders here 10, 12 years ago on sale at Walmart after Halloween. We got this at Walgreens on sale after Halloween years ago. It was only $2.99 to begin with. We probably got it 50% off. And this little booger, it's just supposed to be a spider, but you know, I see evil eye. Lastly, I want to show this box. This cute little box that I'm currently keeping my chime candles in. I got this for $3 from Artistic Mystics Rummage and Barter group on Facebook. I'll try to remember to leave a link in the description for that. But she finds really great stuff at estate sales, and she sells, trades, whatever, and she allows other people to do the same on that page. There's some basic rules, but if you're interested, you should definitely check it out. Artistic Mystics Rummage and Barter group on Facebook. I mean, it's kind of fun for me to do the show and tell, but again, I'm just trying to show how easy it is to come across items that aren't intended for witchcraft at all and put a twist on them and meld them into your working. Whether it be a container to hold magical items or something to make your magic in. I mean, there's a million different ways. So keep your witchy eyes open and get thrifty. Thanks for listening, guys. Until next time, much love and gratitude.